everybody, and thank you for joining us for the Your Recipe for Financial Success podcast launch. My name is Becky, and I'm here with
Emma
and Julie. So we just want to say, before we go any further, hopefully some of you will have a bottle of Prosecco, and now's the time to crack it open and join us in a cheers. So thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the evening.
Cheers.
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 And to be honest, I think we need one of these.
We do.
So as you know, this is a live event, so please do bear with us. We're going to do our absolute best. You might notice that when we move into a different room, that sounds a little bit different, but it should all be okay. So bear with us and we'll do our absolute best. And we are obviously a little bit nervous, so we'll do what we can.
Be gentle, please.
So the plan of action for this evening, we're all going to tell you a little bit about ourselves and our money journeys. We're going to introduce you to some of our guest podcasters that we have lined up. We're going to tell you a lot more about our podcast, and we also have a prize draw lined up, so make sure you stay tuned in.
Okay, so first up, it's time for you to meet Emma. So off you go, Emma.
I'll be with you in a second. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about me today, but while I'm doing it, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to be baking some cakes today. So they're going to be salted caramel cupcakes. So I've been with Face-to-Face Finance since 2018, but I've been in financial services for around about 7 years. I started off in a building society, but I'm really looking forward to lockdown being over so I can go back to working face-to-face with some actual clients again, in person, which will be really good. So during lockdown, I'm the one that's been doing lots of baking, so I've had to slow myself down a little bit because I've all probably started to gain a little bit too much weight from it. But it was while I was baking one day that I actually thought of the name for our podcast. So obviously, when you're weighing out different things and putting different measurements of all sorts of different things, it's kind of like finance. There's lots of different things to do with it that really match up. And it just came to me as I was icing the cake one day, Your Recipe for Financial Success. So it just seemed like a good name for it. So this is where we've got to today. So I'm really excited about being able to do this because it's being able to share knowledge with lots of different people. So obviously normally would do it with clients on a kind of one-to-one basis, but it's nice to be able to share things with lots of people all at the same time. So that's why I'm particularly looking forward to it. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my recipe to move down so I don't mess up these cakes here. So what my role is with the podcast is I'm the technical one that's been researching how to actually record them, and then I'm the one that goes behind the scenes and does all the editing and gets rid of all the ums and ahs and the so in time I think we're going to get better with those and be able to obviously cut a lot of that out, and there shouldn't be all the editing that we've got at the moment, but that's what I'm doing behind the scenes basically, obviously, and creating more cakes. So what I'm actually now about to do is I'm now going to mix this up and make loads of noise. So while I'm doing that, I'm just going to show you a little video about one of our guests that we're going to have in future, Leanne. So Leanne's going to tell you a little bit about herself now.
Hi everybody, my name's Leanne and I'm an accountant. And yes, I'm sorry if that sounds like some sort of dodgy confession, but I promise I'm not that kind of accountant. I'm definitely not grey or boring, and I hope that I will be able to bring you some interesting and useful advice and tips. So my company name is Excel Bookkeeping and Accountancy Services Norwich, and I've been in business for been an accountant for quite a few years now. So I've got lots of good, useful tips for you, especially for small businesses and startups. So hopefully I'll have something which is useful for you. I'm looking forward to the podcast, and hopefully if you let me know if you have any questions, that'd be great.
Thanks Leanne, you've covered up my noise perfectly, and I'm really looking forward for you being on our podcast to be able to share with everybody, particularly small businesses, about accounting information that they may need to know. And if anyone's got any particular questions they want answered or anything they want to know, then just let us know, get in contact, and we can make sure obviously we cover the topics you want in our podcasts. So I've mixed it all up, I'm now putting it in the cases. I might have done a few while you weren't looking, just to get ahead of the game. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about me and my money journey basically. So when I was 16, I got my first Saturday job on the Norwich market on a chip stall, funnily enough. And I never spent a penny of what I earned, I just saved all of it, because what I really wanted to do was go on a trip with school to Borneo for a month. So, believe it or not, going back that far, yes, cakes were still involved in my life heavily. So I used to make cakes and sell them at my ballet school. So all these small children would come running in with their parents and they'd be swearing at me, probably thinking, oh God, I've got to buy them a cake again. But they used to do it just for me. So I managed to save up and go to Borneo for a month when I was 17. And after that I then went, funnily enough, to another chip shop. And I was there for just over a year, and I basically worked my way through to be manager there. And it was one of those, I enjoyed what I did, I loved the customer service side of it, but I wanted a career, I didn't just want a job that I could go to every day. So that was where I started my financial services career at a building society. So that's basically where I started. So by the age of 19, I moved out into a rented house, and obviously your parents try and tell you, you don't want to rent, just save up a little bit longer before you move out and buy a house, because then you'll own it at the end of it. But obviously you never listen, you have to learn some things the hard way. So I quickly learned that I was basically lying in a landlord's pocket, and I was never going to own the house at the end of it, and that's what I really wanted. So after a couple of years of saving up, some support from my parents, in 2017 I bought my first home. And it was one that needed quite a bit of work, and I spent a lot of time obviously doing it up and things. And just before lockdown I actually sold it and made around about 20% profit on it. So really, really good. Not something that I want to personally get into, keep doing, because obviously it's a lot of hard work, and my focus is obviously on being able to help other clients and other people with their money journey, which I really want to do. So, but it is something obviously that you can look into. So these are now ready. So just going to pop these over here.
Sharing your story, Emma. It's very interesting, and after 2 years of working with you, I didn't know that you worked in 2 chip shops.
Yes, I did. Not the one we're going to have from tonight, though.
Oh, I'm looking forward to them.
Definitely.
So on the YouTube live video, you can comment and ask us any questions that you may have, and we will do our best to answer you throughout the evening. I think we need to say cheers to Donna. And cheers Donna, and hello to Chris and Jill. So we hope you're all enjoying the evening.
So I guess you probably want to know a little bit more about the podcast, so I'll tell you a little bit about the episodes that we've got coming now. So we're trying to cover all the topics that we can possibly think of. So from bank accounts, building societies, top tips for saving, life cover, wills. We're trying to cover a little bit of everything. So we want to be able to help as many people as we can, and basically talk to you and tell you about all the things we know about.
Money,
yeah.
So obviously we have lots of topics lined up, as Emma has said, but if there's a particular topic that you think that you'd really like to see us talk about, just drop us an email and let us know, or message us on the social media. It'll be great to hear from you, and we want this podcast to be about you, our listeners, not just about us basically talking at you. So next up is Becky. So over to you, Becky. I'll let you go off and do your thing.
Hello everybody, I'm Becky, and for those of you who are familiar with face-to-face finance, I may look and sound familiar because I've worked there since 2011. So I work in the admin team behind the scenes, but like I say, I have been there for a fair few years now, so hopefully there are some familiar faces watching. So I'm excited to be part of the Your Recipe for Financial Success podcast because I'm actually really passionate about what I do and about financial services, and I think it's a great opportunity to share that passion with other people who perhaps aren't as confident or don't understand financial services like I'm fortunate enough to do myself. And as well as that, it's something completely different and completely new to anything that we've ever done before. In case you can't tell, I'm really nervous doing this right now. So what do I do at the podcast? Well, that's a very good question. I put together the recipes that you hear when we record them. So what do I mean by that? Well, I mean that I research the topics and I put together a list of things I think, this would be really interesting for our listeners to hear. So that's what I do, and then you will also occasionally hear me co-hosting with the lovely Emma and Julie. So now I'm going to tell you a little bit about my relationship with money. So I had a part-time job waitressing when I was 16. I still lived at home, so I was lucky enough to be in a position where I could save basically every penny that I earn. Quite nice, quite happy. So with the money that I earn, I saved it all up, and it paid for my driving lessons, and it also paid for my first car. So I thought I was really cool with my Toyota Yaris when I was 18, driving around in that. So I did my waitressing job until I was 18, when I finished sixth form. And that's actually when I started my apprenticeship with the team at Face to Face Finance. So I kept doing my part-time job on the side at the weekends until I knew that I was happy in my new job at Face to Face, which obviously I knew I was very soon. But at the same time, it was important to me to keep that job going in case the worst happened and I didn't like my new job. So I still had that income sort of coming in. So I worked hard and I saved up and I bought my first home when I was 21. It was actually just a one-bedroom flat, but I absolutely loved it, loved living there. I bought it with my boyfriend, and it gave us something, so basically we knew we could live together. It was a starting block for us, so we knew we could live together, we were happy, and another thing for me was that it was really affordable for us with both of our incomes. So we could still have a life and go on holidays, and we knew if one of our cars needed changing, for example, we wouldn't have to scrape by to replace it. So we lived there for a fair few years together until a couple of years ago we upgraded and we bought a 2-bedroom house together. So again, the same thing remains. Affordability is really important to me because I still want to have a life and go on holidays and enjoy myself, so I don't want to be tied to live in a home that I end up resenting because it prevents me having a life. So we bought a 2-bedroom house, got a garden, really happy, and we're still really lucky to have the freedom to save up and basically do what we want to do while we're still young enough to do it. So just to end, a little bit more about me. So when I'm not whipping up podcasts, I like going for walks along the coast, and I also quite enjoy reading. So there you go, I've nearly finished making my jelly, so I'll pass you back over to Emma and Julie.
Thank you, Becky. I'm really looking forward to some jelly and ice cream after our fish and chips later.
Me too.
Ooh, what flavour jelly is it?
It's actually pineapple.
Oh, very nice indeed. Looking
I
forward
know.
to that. So we've had a few people say hello to us on the YouTube. So just want to say a hi back to Sharon, Andrea, Matt, Deb and Judy. So thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And there's been some comments about the cake, Emma. Do you want to say a little bit more about it?
So this is a little creation that I've made here. I'll be a little bit honest. The bit on top is actually Oreos covered in icing. So if you've never created anything like that before, maybe something you want to try.
Ooh.
So, in case you're not already following us on social media, we are very much on social media. So, on Twitter, you can find us at Recipe4Finance. The 4 is the number 4, not the spelling of 4. And we're on Facebook and Instagram at Recipe for Financial Success. So, we'll look forward to being inundated with new followers after the show. Now, Julie is going to tell us a little bit more about herself.
Over to me. Okay, hi everybody. It's my turn to introduce myself. Ooh, wow, these cakes are smelling good. I can't wait to have a bite of those. And luckily for me, Emma has left the twirly things out of the whisk for me to lick. So I am not the baker. For those of you who know me, I am absolutely useless in the kitchen. So I'm much more into the cocktails, which is why we have got cocktails as part of this evening's entertainment. And obviously the Prosecco, which we'll move on to. So I've had the pleasure of working with Becky and Emma for the last quite a few years, Becky 9 years. And when the podcast idea came up, it was like, wow, yeah, that sounds fantastic. So a little bit about me. I've worked in financial services for quite a few years, actually since I was 21, so let's not work that one out, quite a few years. And I love what I do. I think it's really important, the things that we do. And I think the idea of the podcast, which is going to be to help raise awareness of issues that some people don't ever get to hear about, because financial services and money is considered like a really dirty word, and people are like, oh no, money, I can't talk about that. So we're hoping that by giving it a bit of fun with the baking analogy, we're going to be able to bring home really important information and be able to help people who would sometimes not want to talk about money or look at that as a topic. So to us, that's really, really important. So what do I do at the podcast? So Emma's a technical person, Becky's the brains behind our recipes that we talk about. I guess you could say that I'm the marketing person, so I'm the idiot who decided that a virtual live launch pie would be a great idea. So as you can see, we are a little bit nervous, but we are doing our best, so please bear with us, and we will get better, I promise. So the next time we do a live event, we're going to be fantastic. That's what I keep telling them anyway. So my money journey is, I was very, very lucky. I'm just going to put that down actually. I was very, very lucky. I had parents who really believed that learning how to manage money from an early age was really, really important. And we had pocket money quite early, and it was, we were taught to look at what we were spending and to save up, for different things. So we basically, when I was 14, I got a job as a reserve paper girl. So what that actually means is that I used to stay in bed unless somebody was sick and got paid £4 a week, which might not seem a lot now, but obviously, as we said earlier, I'm getting on in years. So £4 a week was a pretty good deal, which I used to save. Also at 14, I was, again, very fortunate. My mum decided that I could have the family allowance money to buy all my non-essentials. So she would buy the things I needed for school, obviously things like toothpaste and all those kind of things. But if I wanted a new pair of trainers or things like that, I had that money to spend. So I had to manage myself, which was quite interesting. And as you can imagine, I made some really bad purchases. But we all have to learn from our mistakes, and that certainly helped me in my later on in life. I bought my first house when I was 18 with my then partner. We then promptly split up 3 weeks later, so not the best timing. I was, again, very lucky. My parents were very supportive, and they'd paid off their mortgage, so my dad went as guarantor on my house, which luckily I never had to fall back on them. I was able to support myself. At 21, I started working in financial services, and then I started to learn about things like money and mortgages, and what I'd done 3 years earlier when I took out a mortgage then began to make a lot more sense for me. Because at 18, I had no idea. We just did what the mortgage man said, and I didn't really understand what it was that we'd done. I then started to learn what that really meant. So when I met my now husband, we decided to move in together, and actually we decided that my house, which was just a 2 up, 2 down, wasn't really big enough for all his clothes, because he did seem to own an excessively huge amount of clothes, far more than I did. So I was never going to be the girl who went shopping when she got bored. So, and I decided we bought a bigger house. At the time it was 2008, and it really wasn't the time to sell. It probably wasn't the time to buy, but we'd already bit the bullet and done it. So I ended up being the proud owner of a buy-to-let, which was not what I was expecting. Now, those of you out there who have done buy-to-lets will probably know that certainly as time has gone by, it has got more and more complicated. So I think this is really a perfect time for me to finish my story and my money journey and introduce one of our guests who's done us a short video to talk about herself, Sharon, who is an expert on buy-to-let properties. So I'll just leave you over to Sharon.
Hi there, I'm Sharon Masham. I run my own residential property management business, Boxside Properties, and we manage multi-million-pound portfolios for investors based all over the world. For many, investing in property is a bit like making a homemade chilli. There's lots of different elements to be aware of, and it's important to choose your ingredients wisely. Otherwise, you might end up with a meal that's far too boring and doesn't meet your needs, or could be too hot to handle, leaving you uncomfortable with sweaty palms. Our mission is twofold. Firstly, to provide hands-off management for investors with residential properties here in the Northwest. And secondly, for those who would rather self-manage, to provide world-class training to help you steer a course through what is the legal minefield of the private rented sector. I'm really looking forward to speaking to Julie and the rest of their team on their upcoming Recipe for Financial Success podcast.
Sharon, it was great to, I'm really looking forward to having you on the podcast in the next few months.
And thank you, Julie, for telling us all about you. How was the cake mix, though?
Oh, the cake mix was fabulous. I can't wait to taste the cakes. They smell delicious.
So, just a few more hellos. Claire, Anna, Emma and Louise. Nice to see you watching. Thank you for commenting.
So basically what's going to happen with the podcast is we're obviously launching it this week. And you're all here to watch us, which is fantastic. But we don't want to finish there. We feel there's a lot we can do to help people plan for their financial future. So we're hoping to plan an interactive group over the next few months. So there'll be lots of work being done around that for us next. So it'll be great. Obviously, we'll be sharing with you our ideas and how that's all going to work. So we're really excited about where this can lead. So we're hoping you'll help follow us on our journey. Definitely. I'll put my teeth back in. Oh my goodness me. I was like,
Emma, I think it's time for you to go and ice some cakes.
You're very demanding, all right then.
I am, but I'm also very hungry.
Go on, Emma, off you go.
Well, as they've been nagging me for one of these cakes, I thought I'd better ice them. But I'm not going to lie, these are ones I made earlier because they'd have been far too hot to ice straight away. So while I'm doing this, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the podcast. So the podcast is going to be released every 2 weeks, and it'll be going on to all of the normal podcast, if I can get my words out, podcast platforms. So you'll be able to listen to it wherever you are, in the car, out for a run, sat in the office or at home, wherever you are, you'll be able to have a listen. And each episode is going to be between 10 and 25 minutes. We want to keep them kind of short and sweet so that it's not too much information to take in all in one go. Sorry, I get really carried away icing cakes. I find it so relaxing and therapeutic. They don't always turn out as I intend them to be. Like this one is now more white than I'd expect, but if I turn it around, there's a bit more there. So, talking of therapeutic, we've actually working with someone called Emma Roach, and Emma can help people with all of their money anxieties and any stress that they have, that they don't know how to deal with different things. So it's really good to be able to work with Emma as well. So I'm going to carry on icing these, and I'm sure they'll devour them in no time. And I'm going to pass you over now to Emma, and she'll tell you a little bit about what she does.
Hello everyone, I'm Emma Roach, Unlocking Your Full Potential. I'm a professional certified coach, and I help people to be happier and have better relationships in life and business. Just recording a quick video to say I'm really excited that Julie, Becky and Emma down at Face to Face Finance have invited me to be a part of their new podcast, Your Recipe for Financial Success. Really excited to be a part of that, and I'll be talking about well-being and things like that, and how that's really important as a part of your recipe for financial success. Take care and see you soon on the podcast.
Thank you for that, Emma. We're really looking forward to having you record a podcast with us very soon.
So we've had a request for us to repeat our social media channels. So that's Twitter is at recipe4, which is the number 4 finance. And our Facebook and Instagram is at recipe4, which is the number, no, is the letter, sorry, for FOR. Should I start that again? So for Instagram and Facebook, it's at recipe4 FOR, financial success. So these will be shared later on our website as well. We'll be putting a copy of this all on the website so you can have a look, which is www.recipe4financialsuccess.co.uk.
And I've just seen Emma creeping back into the camera with some delicious cakes.
Oh, thanks, Emma. They look awesome.
Look at these.
God, there. So what goes well with cakes, girls?
Coffee?
Tea?
Really? Come on. Cocktails.
Oh, of course. I forgot we were working with you.
Yeah, so come on, put them back down. You're not eating them yet. You've got to do a correct
So hungry.
It'll come, it's fine. Okay, so thanks ever so much to Richie, who I asked if he could put together us a cocktail for our podcast launch, and he's come up with a super kind of pink, goes with the colour cocktail. So girls, are you ready for making this tonight?
I'm
As
ready.
always.
Okay then, right. So you've all got your shakers?
Yes, we
indeed.
have.
Prepared earlier there. So we start off with 25 mils of Lanique, which is a rose,
Is it Turkish Delight?
Turkish delighty sort of taste rose liqueur. So we'll start off with 25 mils of that. And again, we'll have this on our website later on for those of you who want to see what the recipe is. Okay, and you do that. And then 25 mils of, this is cardamom gin. So, which I have to say, smells lovely if you like cardamom, which I do, so that's always a good thing. So there we go. There you go, Becky, over to you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Oh, make sure I don't drop the bottle.
That's always a good sign, yep. And then we're going to have 25 mils of lychee syrup. This could be lychee juice, but
I think that was a little bit of a big shot there.
oh dear.
Slight
Okay,
spillage,
so
never mind.
careful, Becky.
And
And then a couple of shots of Aztec chocolate bitters. I'm going to put 3 in on mine. I'm just going to be a bit greedy.
Spoil yourself.
There you go, definitely. And then we just need to have a bit of a
And
shake.
this is just a
couple of splashes.
few more extra in there for
Or
good
10
measure.
in Becky's
Yeah,
case.
lovely.
Okay, are we all
Almost.
almost there? Almost there? I feel like this is like a ready, steady cook moment. And these aren't ones we made earlier. We're going to have to
We're
do these
gonna make
ourselves.
them now.
Okay then, so let's have a shake, girls. Okay, I think that's enough.
That'll do.
Let's give them a pour. Oh, that came off nicely. Ooh,
Look at
Just the right amount.
just the right amount. Okay then, so well,
Cheers, everybody.
cheers.
Whoa, hang on a minute.
Oh,
What have we forgotten? The one thing that everybody always forgets.
are you joking? We haven't forgotten someone, have we?
Protection.
Oh, yeah, you're
We've
right,
got
Emma.
Philip to talk to us. So I'm now going to hand over to Philip. He's going to tell us a little bit about what he does.
Hello, my name is Philip Mortar and I specialise in private medical insurance. I'm a senior partner at WPA Healthcare Practice and a director of Anglian Health Limited. With healthcare being at the fore of most people's minds right now, we are finding this to be a highly topical issue and one that people are keen to explore. Private health insurance is very different to other forms of insurance, and it's very important to get it right when either initially buying that first policy or reviewing an existing policy. It is your future health you are protecting, and you want and deserve the best possible outcome. I'm Philip Mortar, working with Face to Face Finance, and I'm very much looking forward to speaking to you again in our upcoming podcasts.
Thank you so much, Philip, for telling us a little bit about what you do. And thank you to everyone else as well who's watching. We can see there's lots of comments coming in, but we can't shout out to everyone, unfortunately. So thank you. We really appreciate you watching us.
I was just going to say to Chris Marsh, yes, everything does involve food and drink.
On the podcast and in reality as well. So don't forget, our first podcast is live this Thursday, which is the 30th of July, on all of your usual podcast stores. And the topic that we've chosen for our first podcast is our top 5 tips for budgeting.
Excellent. And now it must be time for the prize draw. So before we pull out the prize winners, so you know what you're going to get. You're obviously going to get one of these lovely aprons, which has been made and embroidered by Joanne from Isabel Necessary, who I have to say has done a fantastic job. So thank you so much, Joanne. We really appreciate it. And a wooden spoon with your recipe for financial success on it. So over to you, Emma. What have we got? Oh, we've got
all the names in a hat, and those people at home with a bottle of Prosecco, you will have noticed you had a little tag on there with a number. So all of those numbers and names are in our bowl here. So all we need to do is choose a winner.
Okay, I'll give it a quick stir up. And I've got a name.
Oh.
And the winner is...
If we can open it.
Louise Barker.
Way!
You're obviously destined to always be lucky with us, Louise. So what I'll do is we'll make sure we get this in the post to you in the next couple of days. So congratulations and thank you so much for listening tonight. We really appreciate your support.
So, I think, ladies, we need to raise a toast to all of our listeners for tuning in today to watch, and to us for actually managing to get through this without falling to pieces.
Yes,
This is it.
cheers
So-
everybody, thank you. And while we're on the topic of thanks, there are also a few more people that we would like to say a special thank you to. The first one being Carolina, who has been frantically clicking buttons away to make sure that everything flips over as it should do. And also special thank you to Kerry and Dan from Epic Event Hire, who have kindly provided us with our lovely backdrop and set for the evening. So thank you, and thank you to everyone who's tuned in and listened as well.
And also thanks to Dan for teaching me how to use the encoder software so we can actually do this event live on YouTube tonight. Thank you.
So, I think all that leaves for us to say is thank you, everyone. Hope you have a lovely evening, and good night from us.
So good
Good
night.
night, everybody.
Night.
Night.